Hinge is one of the most important coaching cues that you're gonna hear me say quite a bit. And when you hear the word hinge, what we're thinking about is hip drive. So every exercise you use standing is gonna use some kind of hinge position, because if we're not hinging, what we're doing is driving the hips forward, and there's very few exercises that we wanna do that with. So your hinge is all about having a slightly bent knee, and then from there, being able to drive your hips back. I always think of this as changing your own center of gravity. So how far can you push those hips back into this hinge position? Now, there's lots of exercises that involve a hinge. So right now you see me in what's called a hang down or RDL position. I would also be able to do rows from this position, all right? But something that doesn't push the hips back as much, but still requires hinge, is a squat. Anytime you're going down into a squat position, you have to be able to hinge your hips back. Again, otherwise, if you don't, you end up in something like this, okay? So here is an example of like an RDL going into a hinge. Driving the hips back as much as possible, changing that center of gravity so that you get that hip drive. Now, anytime you stand up out of a hinge, it's very important that you lock the glutes up as tall as possible. Lock the glutes under the shoulders, all right? So a lot of people will go into hinge positions and not come all the way up. And this is when your lower back starts to bother you a little bit, because you're always in this bent position. So your back has to work. So we want to make sure at the top of every hinge that we stand all the way up, lock the glutes under the shoulders. Even in a lunge, I have to be able to hinge because there's a hip bend going on. So anytime that hip bend is happening, you're hinging. Anytime you're receiving weight at the shoulders, you want to cushion it with a little bit of a hinge. You'll see in every exercise, a hinge is really important. So master your ability to hinge, i.e. driving the hips back.